The next part of the ceremony begins outside and follows more or less the same narrative. Workers are hoisted up the projected rocky wall, only to fall back down to their demise, driving home the idea that their lives are expendable. The rock wall finally collapses completely as the tunnel boring machine used to carve out the Gotthard Base Tunnel breaks through. 8 workers' bodies are superimposed over the tunnel boring machine, making it look very similar to the Atlas detector at the LHC in CERN. Many have speculated that this device at CERN is actually a stargate or a portal that allows interdimensional travel, using the image of the tunnel boring machine and the tunnel workers to form another stargate or portal symbolizes the dimensional door opened at the Gotthard base. On the surface, the tunnel is a means of physical transportation, but the deeper objective of the Gotthard Base Tunnel lies in opening a passageway to another dimension, an opening to the underworld. Claims of portals to other dimensions have existed since ancient times. One example can be found in Peru. The Gate of the Gods is a cutout in the giant rock near Lake Titicaca. According to legend, the first priest of the Incas activated a portal here using a golden disc that fell from the sky. Shamans witnessing the event explained that the man simply disappeared into the rock. He was never seen again. A circular impression can be seen in the rock, and many believe this is where the golden disc was placed to activate the Stargate. Another ancient portal is claimed to be beneath the temple of Seti I in Egypt. Inside the temple, strange hieroglyphics resembling a modern-day helicopter, spaceship, and boat can be found, suggesting possible time travel. Interestingly, many of the boats said to carry souls from this life to the afterlife, which are painted on ancient Egyptian temples, resemble the shape scientists used to describe wormholes. Michael Schratt, a U.S. military aerospace historian and pilot, claimed that in 2003, the site was used to send an ET visitor home. Ben Rich, the former Lockheed Skunk Works director, once said, "We now have the technology to bring ET home." The Mutual UFO Network International Director Jan Harzen was dissatisfied with the abstractness of Rich's statement and inquired further.
He said, "Well, let me ask you, how does ESP work?" I said, "I don't know, all points in space and time are connected." He looked at me and said, "That's how it works." He turned around and walked out of the room.
The Egyptian connection adds significance to the pyramids illustrated on the backs of the workers' jackets. Stargates and portals are not merely something that exists in the realm of science fiction or mythical stories. NASA describes these entrances and exits to wormholes as X-points, or electron diffusion regions. They occur in places where the magnetic field of the Earth connects with the magnetic field of, say, the Sun. When this happens, an uninterrupted path opens. These gateways open and close dozens of times a day, and can result in the flow of energetic particles which are responsible for heating the upper atmosphere, geomagnetic storms, and polar auroras. When speaking of extra dimensions, CERN's own Sergio Bertolucci says, "Out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it." Once the rocks fall away and the portal has been opened, we see the workers jerk their bodies as if they are possessed. The demonic energy sealed behind the mountains has been released like the evils from Pandora's box and has infiltrated the souls of the workers, who begin to strip and spar with each other before descending into an orgiastic dance. The ritual orgy is very important in Satanism. Demonic entities feed like vampires on energy. When we are addicted to food, drugs, sex, anything that steals energy away from us, we can become victims, easily controlled and manipulated by those forces stealing our energy. The workers have become corrupted and are essentially invoking the devil. This is a microcosm of what is happening on a global scale as humanity gradually gives away all of its energy to dark entities like the global elite who are ushering in a new world order under false pretenses. Be wary when you hear governments or elite individuals using phrases like humanitarian act, unification, or freedom when describing policy goals. On the video screen, we see workers falling to their death down a bottomless pit. Another way to think about a bottomless pit is a wormhole to another dimension, a tunnel to the underworld. And then, 3 ghosts rise from the pit. A giant eyeball like the Illuminati's all-seeing eye watches over the ceremony as the stripped workers return, now as ghosts, draped in veils. We have been sacrificed, our energy used to usher in Satan's rule. The face of the Cernunnos appears on the screen. 3 scarab beetles rise. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the scarab beetle is associated with the solar god Khepri, who pushes the sun across the sky as a beetle pushes a ball of dung. During the night, the sun is believed to be rolled through the other realm. Therefore, the god Khepri and scarab imagery represents creation, rebirth, and transmigration of the soul. In this ceremony, the souls of the workers have been reincarnated as ghosts of the underworld. The backs of the scarabs have a skull designed on them, which further insinuates that in this reality, we are more likely to be reborn as the living dead than anything human. A ring of eyes watches over the performance. Some of the eyes seem drugged, nearly asleep, while others seem afraid, much like the eyes of the workers who are either ignorant and thus metaphorically asleep, or wide awake in terror. The eyes, especially the unblinking eye in the center, are also reminiscent of the Illuminati's all-seeing eye, which presides over all good and bad, much like Shiva in Hinduism. The all-seeing eye, such as depicted on the back of the $1 bill, comes from the Eye of Horus. Horus is said in ancient Egyptian mythology to be the sky, the sun his right eye, and the moon his left. The Eye of Horus, or sometimes Wedjat, another powerful solar god, represents royal power given from deities. Considering the earthly atrocities government elites are willing to commit, it seems that they must believe in a divine right to rule, and so the Eye of Horus is a perfect representation of their theory, or rationalization. This image of an eye of ultimate control, or more specifically a ring of eyes, also has biblical roots, such as in Ezekiel 1:18, which speaks of wheels covered in eyes representing God's ultimate awareness over good and evil and ultimate control over nature. The global elite obviously emulate this type of knowledge and power, as it is shown through their attempts in institutions like CERN to control and alter the nature of reality. Once again, the all-seeing eye is a perfect symbol to represent their agenda. The screeches of one of the spirits can be heard as the Cernunnos brutally rapes her. He then proceeds to die in a grand inversion of the crucifixion, a satanic mockery of the death of Jesus Christ. His disciples stand in back of him, laughing instead of wailing. We see an upside-down tree of life playing in the background as the procession enters in what looks like a black mass, a grand inversion. The time of modernism is here, man fused with the machine, a time of technological sexuality, transhumanism. Much like part 1, a celebration ensues. Politicians stand with townspeople, workers, and the devil. They move in slow motion, referring again to CERN's manipulation of time, and then snap back to normal movement, revealing that it is not they who are in control of their actions, their perceptions of time. Clocks move back and forth out of time. The lady in red, draped in blood, draped in evil, takes center stage. Pregnant with the spawn of Satan, she labors in childbirth until eventually bearing the Antichrist, ushering in a new age, an age that flips Christianity on its head. The demons move into the audience, taunting the public, connecting this show with reality. The end of the performance commences with the actors bowing to the clock, honoring time, the unnatural structure. The physical train arrives on time, again driving home the message that this ceremony is all about time, its manipulation and creation. It's CERN's manipulation of time and the Gotthard Tunnel's stress on the importance of an artificial reality which holds us captive. Aside from the dark spiritual sides of these Swiss portals, there are many from the scientific community who also have doubts about CERN in terms of the physical safety to our planet. Others have spoken out about the railway, its destruction of nature, and its invitation of big business to a previously pristine area. Lawsuits have been filed against CERN in fear of them creating black holes, ripping a hole in the time-space continuum, and destroying the Earth. But luckily, this hasn't happened yet, or at least as far as we know. Could CERN have destroyed this planet in another dimension, an alternative reality? Just look at the music video they released in 2014 to Pharrell's song Happy. In it, we see a physicist wearing two signs, one reading Bond number 1, the other Mandela. The first James Bond actor from Casino Royale, which came out in 1954, the year that also marks CERN's opening, was Barry Nelson. Combine those names and you get Nelson Mandela. Then jump to the end of the video where you see the number 4664 on one side of the screen and the number 9 on the other. If we flip the number 9, as so often happens in numerology related to Satanism, we get another 6. Bring these together and we form 46664, which was Nelson Mandela's prison number, and subsequently the AIDS charity concert honoring Mandela, which featured many Illuminati celebrities. Furthermore, the number 46664 itself is peculiar because besides containing 666, the mark of the beast, which it does contain, many remember the number originally being 4664 until it seemed to mysteriously disappear to 46664. Could this separated inverted 6 be yet another symbol alluding to CERN's manipulation of this reality? In the quantum reality in which we live, where an infinite number of parallel universes could exist, differing from each other only in the most minute aspects, even something as minute as 4664 versus 46664 in relation to Nelson Mandela, it seems possible that a facility like CERN, which is conducting experiments with such vast amounts of energy, could develop the ability to merge those parallel universes. We would probably never even notice a difference unless something which affected our collective memory was altered, because we could then find external validation in our belief that a shift had occurred from our fellow humans, or rabbits. Could the work at CERN be a continuation of Nazi science experiments which were searching for keys with which to control the laws of physics so those in charge could rule as gods over the Earth? There are still many unanswered questions relating to CERN and their scientific agenda. Please let me know in the comments if you have any information on CERN's latest breakthroughs and what they could mean. What have you experienced as a result of the Mandela effect? I would like to begin compiling a list of anomalies, and since the differences from one parallel universe to another may be so small they won't appear on the public radar, you sharing your personal moments of seeing through the Matrix will help me create a more in-depth analysis of the phenomenon. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep digging.